Ladies and gentlemen, the following podcast is set for one episode. Your host from Columbus, Ohio, is Michael Kirk. Welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast. Hello and welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast, your digital audio dirt sheet for all things Supershow. I've been kicking around for a while trying to think of what I would say is the biggest story for this week. Normally, I would say it's the championship matches coming up. The problem is we won't have results for those until Monday night, and this show comes out on Sundays. But let me just give you a rundown of those matches, championship matches taking place Monday night. First off, we have an addition to the card. Throughout the last few weeks, there's been an ongoing Tornado Tag Team Tournament. They'd wanted to get that tournament finished before WrestleMania 2. That didn't happen. Last week, I reported that the finals matchup had been announced. It's the Grump, Danny Thunder versus Bob Dunn. The Grump won that match. So the Grump is the next contender for the Tornado Tag Team Championship. He will face Chris Pate Monday night. Next up are the matches we already knew about. We have a Tag Team Championship defense. McPeak Inc., Jeff and Mac McPeak will defend against the team of Evie Fresh, Everett Stevens, and the Enforcer, Larry Beadnett. Then we have an Underworld defense, Peppy Pepper, defending against Vicious Vic Vandal, and a World Heavyweight Championship title defense. Press 1P John Pulverino will be defending against the J-Train, Joel Hernandez. As a reminder, the World Heavyweight Champion had the option to either take a stipulation in his match or play a standard match, and Peppy Pepper will get an unknown stipulation in his defense. John Pulverino elected to take a standard singles match, so Peppy Pepper will be defending against Vicious Vic Vandal in an unknown stipulation. We'll find out what that stipulation is Monday night when the match happens. Outside of the championship matches taking place Monday night, I think the most interesting bit of news we found out this week about Supershow is the potential launch of, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Iku Zo Supershow. Japanese phrase translating into Let's Go Supershow. This is a new game based on Supershow the Game. Is using the same mechanics, same rules, but the cards, instead of being based around professional wrestling, will be based around anime-style art and a lot of your traditional genres you find in anime, Japanese animation stories. Instead of being a lot of combat, you're going to see a lot of magic. There's also going to be weapons like machine guns, swords, just a wide array of sort of fantasy combat with an anime art style, anime-inspired art style. Wednesday, the SRG boss, Steve Resk, hosted a Zoom room. And if you happen to go into that Zoom room, you got to see him work on a lot of the cards, both competitor cards as well as cards in the decks 1 through 30. These should be compatible with Supershow the Game, so you should be able to play both sets together. Once those do come out, if they come out, I'm presuming they will, but there's been no official date yet. We do know that the 6 competitors he worked on are Sage the Wiccan Witch, Eva Lionheart, Fox Assassin, Ms. Southern Belle, although from what I understand, she won't be called Ms. Southern Belle in the set. The boss threw out the potential name of Boss Belle. Don't know if that's going to be the name or not. But Belle will be in the game, and Belle, based on the art, uses a wide variety of firearms. Just every time you saw the art, it was a different rifle, minigun, machine gun, just shooting up the place with the Belle character. Vampire Sekhmet, And I believe LED was the 6th and final competitor in the set. I could be wrong, but those were the 6 competitors. Jason Carty, who's done a lot of the alt art cards for Kirk Polka's creations, Mila Mai, Chloe, Lily. He did the Army of Darkness inspired Wooly Bully card. He's done a lot of the competitor card arts for this set. They look great. Based on what Steve was saying during the Zoom room about these, it looks like they're going to come out in box sets. I would assume they're going to come out as 2-player box sets. Just makes sense. If you're going to kick off this line, you kick it off as a starter set line. Could be wrong, but I would presume that these would be 2-player box sets. Based on the designs, not all of these stats will be the same, and the gimmicks may be different. I would not be surprised if we saw a different gimmick on Bell, for example. But Iku Zo, Supershow, look for that to launch sometime. Don't know when. That's just one of the many games SRG Universe is producing. We all know Supershow, but if you've been paying attention, Scally Wager has been a game they've thrown out for a while. I don't know if they're still doing anything with Ultra Crepidarian, but they previewed that a few times on Talk of the Universe. South Side is something we've seen quite a bit being played. So yeah, just this is one of the many games, but it is a Supershow related game, and it is compatible with Supershow. How that's going to work in future tournaments, will there be Supershow the Game only tournaments and Iku Zo Supershow tournaments? Will there be hybrid tournaments? We don't know, but a game based on the Supershow the Game rules and mechanics, Iku Zo Supershow, is in the works. Art's been commissioned, cards are being worked on, when that will go to the printer, when that will be available for sale, all of that remains to be seen. Speaking of things going to the printer, the New Japan Pro Wrestling box sets that we've been waiting for since the end of January. On the most recent episode of Talk of the Universe, Wednesday night, May 26th, it was confirmed the sets are at the printers. How long it will take to go from printing to arriving at the warehouse to being shipped out to arriving in people's homes, none of that's been announced. They did make an announcement that in the Bullet Club set, there was going to be a competitor, I believe, set for the Gorillas of Destiny. That set has been cut. Apparently there were rights issues that would have caused a further delay in the release of the set, and they decided that for the purpose of getting the set released in a more timely manner, they're just going to cut that competitor set. Will we see that come back at some point in the future? Who knows? Now, this doesn't reduce the number of competitor sets in each box. Each box set had 3 single competitor sets. It was only the Bullet Club set that had the tag team competitor in it, the Tornado Tag Team competitor. So every set still comes with 3 competitors, just unfortunately this Bullet Club set won't come with this Tornado Tag Team. If you're a fan of that tag team, it's unfortunate, but I understand why they did it, and I kind of agree with them. I would rather see this come out than have it be further delayed. Also, there's an update on the Supershow the comic from the recent Kickstarter campaign. The first issue, as far as I understand, has been lettered. I don't know if both issues have been lettered, but the first one they announced has been lettered. So there is progress on Supershow the comic. That is pretty much all of the product news. Let me add this. If you are listening to the show, and it is still Memorial Day weekend, SRG Universe is running a sale on Supershow at supershowthegame.com. 2 promo codes. Code Memorial 2021 will get you 25% off most singles, competitor sets, single, tornado tag, and trio. Code Memorial New 2021 gets you 10% off new items and boxed products. The sale will run until the end of Monday night. So May 31st is the last day for the sale for those promo codes to be live. I don't know if the MLW Draft promo code is still working. I would not be shocked if it was, because the draft is still ongoing. The draft, of course, sponsored by Supershow the Game. But yeah, that's it for the product news. Let's talk about upcoming events. I'll start with next week, June 5th. June 5th, we have Supershow Summer Brawl taking place at Highlander Games in Boonton, New Jersey. This is a create a competitor tournament. The stipulations for the top 8 are, in top 8, steel cage matches, in top 4, TLC matches, and the finals will be a main event match. As far as the ban list, you cannot play the original General Manager John Clace, D2, X-Royce, Belinda, Snake Pit, or Vanilla Gorilla. You can't play the original Ariel Lipstick, original Vic the Brick, original Immortal Warrior, or Grim. And if you play EC3 and you use the EC Splash on turn 1 as a lead and a finish, if it's stopped, that will be a disqualification unless you are able to, play something to prevent the disqualification. $25 entrance fee. As far as I know, there are still spots available. After this event, same day, about 30 minutes away, there is the IWA Supremacy Wrestling Show. This features IWA champion and LFF member TJ Marconi in a fatal 4-way match that I believe is going to be the main event of this event. If you go to both events, there will be a special prize for being at both events. I believe you pick that up at the wrestling event. You just, I'm assuming, show your ticket. It is sponsored by SRG Universe from what I can see. But yeah, if you're going to the Super Show Summer Brawl, think about going to the wrestling event afterwards, making it a double feature. The other thing I'm going to talk about in upcoming news is this. Another convention has been announced for Super Show the Game for SRG Universe. Last week I talked about Steel City Con, the weekend of June 11th, Grand Con, followed by Gen Con and Origins in the month of September. Lexicon in Lexington, Kentucky has been added to the schedule. Super Show will be at Lexicon. Lexicon takes place from July 30th through August 1st. That last weekend in July, first weekend in August, that bridge. That's when Lexicon takes place. No other news about Lexicon other than the dates. A little bit of a news update on Steel City Con taking place 2 weeks from today. At this point, there is no play space officially assigned during the convention. There will be events. Steve Resk has put the word out. He's looking for event space to run after-hours events. If you have any leads on that, have any information you can give him, I'm sure he'd be interested in that. Reach out to him through the normal channels. I believe he put that word out. He's looking for event space to run events. Steel City Con weekend. Last thing I'm going to give an update on before we talk about the events from this past week. The Midwest Coast Championship #1 contender tournament has reached the semi-final round. The winner of this tournament will face Finland, Anthony Hapapuro, to potentially become the next Midwest Coast champion. Here are the semifinalists and the matchups. The first semifinal match will be Sean Loeb taking on Sierra Flores Simon. The other semifinal match will be Chris Pate taking on Time Bomb Tim Creaser. One of these 4 competitors will eventually face Finland to potentially become the Midwest Coast champion. Can't wait for that to happen. Expect the results probably the next time I do the show. They probably have about a week to play these matches. I did not see a deadline. I will report the results when I have them. And that's going to be it for the Super Show news for this week. Let's talk about the tournaments from this past week. Monday night, we had a Proving Ground tournament. All grapple matches. Grapple matches are essentially submission matches. You use the submission match stipulation. Just every time you see the word submission, you replace it with the word grapple. The top 4 after the cut were in 4th place, using, and I hope I pronounced this right, Lissa Lignut, the SRG BOSS Steve Resk. In 3rd place, using Brian Wait For It Schmidt, was Brian Wait For It Schmidt. The finals matchup was John Schnurr, some of you may know him as Loudmouth Leo Larynx, using Scott Prime, taking on Matt Hass, the Hidden Threat, using the Mad Custodian, and the winner, Matt Hass with the Mad Custodian. Next week, looks like it's going to be 6-stop trios matches. Very interesting format. Can't wait to see how that turns out. That was Monday night. Thursday night, another edition of Chibi's Thursday Night Fights. 32 players, cut to a top 16. The matches in the top cut were, in the opening round, New York Rules, Beast Unchained matches in the quarterfinal round, Liger's Den matches in the semifinal round, and then the finals as well as the 3rd place match were played using the last competitor standing stipulation. In 4th place, using the big guy, was the Grump, Danny Thunder. In 3rd place, using Hallow King, Ken Fouché. The finalists were Chris Pate using Theo the Greek Neo, and Ian Chambers using Black Star. The winner, your LFF Tornado Tag Team Champion, Chris Pate. Friday, big tournament on Friday. The number 1 contender for the Underworld Championship would be determined by this tournament. It had already been announced that the stipulations in the top cut would be steel cage matches every round of the top cut. The preliminary rounds were the traditional group stages. There were triple threat matches in the initial part of the top cut. In the end, the top 4 in this tournament were in 4th place, using Haltane, the Slayer of Chromatic Dragons, Hold the Line Harry. In 3rd place, using Luna Hallows, Kirk Polka. The finalists were the Lucha Maniacal Uberstar, using Jean Constance, and the Grump Danny Thunder, using Lawman Nick. The winner here, the Grump Danny Thunder, using Lawman Nick. This makes the Grump the next contender for the Underworld Championship and the next contender for the Tornado Tag Team Championship after defeating Bob Dunn. What's going to happen with that? Because they don't like to have double champions booked. We'll see. But as of right now, the Grump has shots at 2 different championships in the Legendary Fighting Federation. Saturday, a trios tournament that's going to be part of something known as the Day of Champions. I don't have a lot of details on this, but this was a trios tournament, group stage to a top cut. All of the matches in the top cut were tables matches. In 4th place, with the League of Extraordinary Grapplers, was Simon Strauss, the Dread Pirate Tech Support. 3rd place, using the Think Tank, one of the founders of the Think Tank, Bob Dunn. The finals saw Justin Myers, using Big Ballers, face off against Chris Pate, using The Line. The winner here, Chris Pate with The Line. Chris Pate winning 2 tournaments in 3 nights. As a result of his victory and Justin Myers taking 2nd place in the tournament, both men move on to the eventual Day of Champions event thing that will happen again No details on that. The next portion of the Day of Champions event, the next event in the circuit, I don't know how to describe it, tour, but all we know about it is it's going to be called Trios and Llamas. I don't know what that means, but that is the next event in the Day of Champions series. Sunday, there were 2 events that took place on Sunday. The first, as I'm recording this, has concluded. It's the Mania Backlash tournament. This was a tournament where the winner would get to foil a card in Supershow the Game. 12 players, cut to a top 8 after Swiss rounds. The stipulations in the top 8 were, in the quarterfinals, steel chain matches. In the semifinals, steel cage matches. And in the finals, ladder matches. They really like ladder matches at WrestleMania. This is, I think, the 3rd match I've seen where the ladder match, maybe even the 4th, where the ladder match is the match in the finals. The finalists were Bob Odell, Funtime Bob, using Rah Rah Perry, and Big Jim Bias using Shane Hurricane Helms. The winner, using a card I've had great success with, Jim Bias using Shane Hurricane Helms. Congratulations to him. He gets to foil a card in the game. The other players did not go home empty-handed either. I believe there was a payoff pack draft involving 2 payoff packs. Thank you to the people up on the Rust Belt for putting on another event, WrestleMania Backlash. The other Sunday event, which unfortunately will take place after I finish recording the show, is a pop-up event. The boss says, wait for it, Sunday night pop-up event. As far as I can tell, it's a singles event, so you'll be using singles competitors. But whether it's going to be Birdcage, Claim the Throne, Hardcore, Round Robin, it's wide open as to what that event's going to be. But that event is going on too late for it to make this week's episode. I'll have to report on it, as well as the championship matches on next week's episode. As far as the online events for next week, as I am recording this, nothing has been posted for next week. We do know that the Monday Night Proving Ground, which I'm assuming will go up tomorrow, will be a 6-stop trios event. I imagine we'll see something Thursday, and I don't see any reason why Dojo would be canceled on Tuesday night. Outside of that, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Outlaw Mudcast. I'd like to thank all of you for listening, and a good day.